Alright, I'm gonna just try and record this because I have a tendency to tangent, a very like non-linear mind. Anyway, so this month for me personally was a lot of music stuff. There was just so much music stuff that came up for me. I have a tendency to experience this because my connection with my friend who passed away, and there's various music and songs and whatever, and so what came up a lot of times were these kind of, I don't know if these are Vocaloid-ish or Vocaloid adjacent type things, which, so I have on my, where is it? So there's Open Udio, which is right here, and there's another one, the synthesizer thing. Then, and this was just very like emotional for me. This was very freaking emotional for me. So one of them was this one, The Shadow. A lot of this came up for me. And the other one is this one, Angel of Fire, Dragon Pact, which doesn't have as many views as this one. Now there is like a little glitch in this, so I'm not actually sure if these are AI made or if it's like a kind of like a Vocaloid-ish, like with using voice banks or something, like because my kid uses Open Udio and like stuff like that, and she composes like it's like I previously mentioned, like with the like Sharon Apple. Like I really think you need to watch Macross Plus to understand what I mean. And I have certain goals that I'm sort of meditating on and that I want to maybe see happen or whatever. I practice Silva method, and I think I've already mentioned Silva method, so I practice Silva method, and another one is gateway process. I'm not doing as well with gateway process. I have a kind of setback. One thing I'm experiencing lately is I have this tightness in my face, in my jaw, and it's painful. It's a thing I noticed this month, since like the middle of the month or somewhere in the middle of the month. And so I do like a lot of meditation. And I practice singing every day now. I've been practicing singing since last year. I blame it on David. There's a lot of things he does. He nudges or whatever. He has a way of coaxing me and prodding me into things. And it always turns out to be like for a reason. It's a lot of these puzzles that I come across. And there's also things where, because I also was doing microdosing. I don't microdose anymore right now because I don't have any more. So I'm at this weird place with AI. We can't get rid of AI. It's not going away. It's stuck here forever. I'm friends with, okay, so this is my friend Rob's channel. Rob Khalil. He's a really nice person. I have so much respect for Rob. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I have this feeling, can't explain it. I always have this feeling like Rob is my brother somehow, even though he's not my brother. It's the only way I can explain it. I always feel like this, like if you've had a sibling or a family member that you care about and you worry about them, I always feel like I want to help him or support him or like he's my brother. It's the weirdest thing. And he says the same thing. He says that he will tell me, he's like, I love you so much, like I feel like you're like my sister. It's the weirdest thing. We have other friends, mutual friends, and I don't have to agree with him and he doesn't have to agree with me, and a lot of people have different opinions about all kinds of stuff. He is also highly censored, which is so weird because he is one of the nicest people who has ever lived. And yeah, that's a thing. He's very much about this tolerance. He's big time inspired by Art Bell. and his content is very similar to Art Bell. It's kind of interesting because it's called Typical Skeptic, but his shows are not skeptical framed. I very much am a real true skeptic. So I don't know how to reconcile that, other than he's my friend and I'm biased. He also has he has certain kinds of etiquette or politeness that he's very PC at times with this stuff. Although he'll swear on the air. That's a thing. Whatever. Not here to judge. So I came across a lot of this music, and this was a lot of times when if I request something from my friend, he has a way of doing this, but this time it was not really like, because I asked him near the end of my friend David. I was like asking him like, hey, are you gonna do that like musical thing you do? And at times, like last year and earlier this year, like we just get slammed with all this stuff, especially music. It's not always music, it can be other things too. And it just like all comes at me like there's so much. And as you can tell, like I have so many freaking tabs open. I have actually 3 browsers because I had 3 screens, but one screen died, and then my video card died, and whatever. There's a whole lot of stuff. So I asked him, and I'm like, are you not going to do, because usually all it took was me to just mention it, and then all this music would just come to me, and all different ways and different places, and not just online, and not just on my phone or my PC, or feeds or whatever, but there was so many of these kinds of things that would happen. And then this time around, because he has style, he has like a whole new refined approach to all this stuff. He has like this kind of slow burn. I think he also has different ways of assessing me, how I react to things, what grabs my attention, and also like, is it in conflict with things that I'm personally going through or doing? So this shows a lot of progress on his end. And so at the end of September, I was like, are you like gone? Are you not doing this anymore? Like what? So then he started doing it. It was just like little bits of stuff. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And then by the time October started, I was like, so like, are you bored? Is this like the end of that? Or like, can you blow my mind? Or like what? And sometimes I feel like he waits for me or something. Like I don't know how all of it works, because I know like when I go to sleep, I have this other kind of interaction, which a lot of it is blocked from my memory when I wake up. But there's also times where I apparently, when I'm asleep and I'm interacting with him, I also apparently give him ideas, or we discuss stuff. Don't know how to explain this. And he's hilarious. He's very funny. And I oftentimes cannot remember this unless some weird thing happens. Like if there's a reason why he wants me to remember it or I want to remember it, he'll do some wacky thing. And sometimes it's very like shocking or inappropriate and intentional so that I will remember it. Anyway, I wish I could remember all. Another thing is like when I am asleep or when I am in these other, I don't know, out of body, whatever experiences, I have memory of other interactions and other experiences while I'm there, but I cannot always bring this memory back with me. I'm not the only person who says this. I know it was his name, Preston Dennett. He says similar things. So next thing I know, I had all this music stuff happening from my friend, and he very much likes a lot of cybernetic type concepts, and that's a whole topic. And so then I was like kind of confused, because a lot of this music, and this is just one list, this is the recent one, I have another list on my phone. I was sort of perplexed because before I could spot when something was an AI generated something, but we're at this point where like it passes. Now, I did start to, well, these are various like software things, so I'll just pull up. Oh, just gonna reload. There's various kinds of software, whatever, and where am I? That's a translation thing. I want to go to, where is it? Is this the right browser? Oh, I was apparently watching oh, I have to finish watching Star Trek. Star Trek Continues, which is very good, actually. Okay, here we go. So I had these conversations with various AIs. I have a tendency to talk to DeepSeek and ChatGPT. I don't really care for Grok as much, but a lot of my friends or people that are influential on me, or people I'm connected to or whatever, they have a tendency to gravitate to Grok. I don't like Grok. I find, well, I don't even want to go there. So I had a conversation with ChatGPT and probably DeepSeek also. And I was like, what do you think of these channels? Do you think they're AI? This is why I'm not sure how much is AI, or if it's like voice banks, or like Udio and Vocaloid or whatever. And I watched a video. I don't know which one it was. I watched a video, and this guy, so there's DeepSeek. This guy was talking about these kinds of audio interfaces, and as you can see, actually, let me go to my profile. I have mixed feelings about a lot of this stuff. When I first started, well, so I watched that video. I watched this video of this guy comparing, and I confused both of these. So there's Suno and Udio, and I often confuse it with the Phil Collins song Sudio. And so I have a tendency to screw up the name. Sudio, whatever. So I first, when you go to create this stuff, in that video, he made it seem like they were the same. Like, this one is the same as this, but it just executes it differently. However, when they went to try these software, that did not happen the way it was in the video. In the video, they make it seem like they're the same, but they're not. And in this one, like, you type in what you want, and then you can also custom make lyrics that you want, or it can auto-generate it, or it can instrumental it, right? And this is like the free version. And when I first heard this stuff, I was so impressed. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this. So the first thing I'm going to just tell these stories. I'm just going to tell the story. So I wanted to test these platforms. I'm oftentimes not very impressed by AI. So a lot of the stuff is sort of dragging me and pulling me through this AI stuff. And I'm very much on more like the purist side of, like, I don't want to deal with AI unless it's a tool. But then there's even slippery slopes with that, and my daughter chewed me out this week over it. So it's been a very emotional week for me, very emotional week. So I typed in, I don't even know if it even kept the prompt, probably didn't. I was like, okay, I want a Blümchen song, because I like Blümchen. But I want these certain styles of songs. So I wanted it to have like a Mediterranean slash, like Middle East, Egyptian, North African, like a Mediterranean, maybe even Turkish vibe. I was very, I was very inspired by, that's one of Rob's streams. Okay, so there's this Belgian comic called, let's see if it comes up. Jin. Alright. There it is, right here. It searches better on Google. I don't usually use Google, but DuckDuckGo is not as good lately. So, European comics have a certain look and vibe. Why isn't this working right? Here we go. So I like the aesthetic of this Belgian comic. There's certain this is risque. This is not for children. And there's this Jin. She's a kind of naughty femme fatale kind of. It's absolutely gorgeous. The artwork is stunning. There's so much in this. It is kind of naughty. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of naughty. It's hard to find these translated to English. That's a whole story and a half. If you want to ask ChatGPT about that, I'm sure it would love, or DeepSeek or whatever. It would love to explain these things to you. European comics don't shy away. So they're usually more on the sexy love vibe rather than the violence, but this definitely has violence in it. Whereas American comics are definitely sexy, but they're more violent and there's less explicit stuff. Oh, I don't know what this is. This is probably a different franchise. But I just absolutely loved a lot of this. So Belgian comics. I don't speak French at all, so I can only read these in English or German, and because the fans just like it, I think it's mostly in French. Even the German, so Belgium is a place of multilingual people, including people who speak German and English and French and Finnish or Flemish, excuse me, or Dutch or whatever. And so even the German people German nationals, people who live in Germany, don't like it translated to German. There's like forums about this. So I don't actually know the entire story of it. It's quite beautiful. I just love it. I just love the look and feel of this. So a Jin, if you don't know what a Jin is, it's a kind of fairy, fae, elemental being. A lot of times it's likened, there's certain paranormal experiences that are oftentimes likened to it. So back to the testing of the AI. I really like Blümchen. It's one of my favorite. There's so many kinds of music I really like. And I thought, and I know so Blümchen is by the main singer, the original singer is Jasmin Wagner. Now there's a controversy because there were backup singers and their voices were meshed together with hers, and like one of them is Alex Prince, who's apparently her friend, and there was other girls who were also her friend who were backup singers. I think one of the chick was it Weezer or something? Not Weezer. I can't remember. But there's a lot of them. I could make a whole video about that. I could make several, actually. I could make a podcast out of it. And so Yasmin's voice was edited a lot, especially when she was younger. She was also a kid. I don't feel like she deserves like the hate for this. Like somehow she's a fake, or she can sing. She has a new album that came out. At this point, I don't think it's new anymore. Which actually I can just pull up here on Spotify. Also, this is the original Jasmin Wagner, not the country singer who has the same freaking name. There she is. So her newest album was called Von Herzen, which I actually have the CD of. And you can hear her voice basically unedited because she can actually sing. She spent this entire century so far doing acting off Broadway, stage plays, she can actually sing, and she can actually sing very well. I still feel like her Blümchen songs are like where the magic is. But there's nothing wrong with these. These are very good. I thought this is like an electro pop album. She's done many kinds of styles of music. And so I typed in a prompt, and I had like a little story, and I was like, okay, so Blümchen is being like pursued by this Jinn queen, and it's like I wanted it to be like kind of like the comic book a little bit, like something like that. And like sort of like The Craft. You ever see this movie called The Craft, where there's this group of witches, except for this it's Jinn, and they want to recruit this girl, this main character girl, into their group so that they can all like enhance their powers. And so in this story, in this concept, it was like Blümchen is being pursued by this Jinn queen, so she can like collect her into her like group. And then when she collects her into her group, they all can like have their powers increased. But in order for her to get collected into this group, she has to like give up her heart, and so that she can become an immortal. And then they are manipulating mortal humans and whatever, but they don't have like their heart anymore. They have no heart. And if you know anything about Blümchen, I swear like I'm definitely a fan from the old days. Blümchen is actually a very nice person, and she was for most of her life a vegetarian. I think she's a pescatarian now. But she's mostly a vegetarian. She even like did stuff with PETA, which I'm not a fan of that group. But she did a bunch of stuff for like PR stuff for them before. And I was like, okay, and she doesn't want to be a Jinn, so the Jinn queen is like a femme fatale, and she's corrupting and turning and seducing all her lovers against her, and breaking her heart and turning everybody against her. And but Blümchen doesn't want to become a Jinn because her heart is too big, and she cares too much about the earth and the people in it and the animals in it and the environment and this sounds much longer than what I actually wrote. So she's just like resisting this Jinn, and she's like defiant, like I'll never be like a Jinn. I'm not giving up my heart, and I don't care if you break my heart or what you do. I still have the power to like resist you or something. And so the AI took this concept, and it fixated on two main things, like this vegetarian virtue signaling thing, and this the femme fatale vibe. And so it came up with these songs from that, and it's kind of cheesy, but sometimes people say it's cheesy. So this was the first one that came up. There we go.
In den Schatten der Nacht, die femme fatale lag, verführt mit ihren Augen.
It's so funny because the voice is so similar in many parts to Jasmin's adult voice that's unedited. It's very similar.
Das Verlangen, es wird kaum verfremdet darf, ließ nie die Eimer, doch ich bleibe standhaft, bleibe hier, die Erde ruft, das hör ich viel, entrückte Welt, ich bleibe weit weg.
Yeah, so that's what it did. I was really impressed that it did that, because it sounds like Jasmin's adult voice, not her teenage voice. So this was like another one I came up with. So definitely these are in German. It's this very Schlager kind of thing. And so I played a lot with this. the AI is very defined. It has its own tastes for things, and even if I rewrite the lyrics and whatever, it will just still just do whatever it wants.
Fatale Lach, verführt mit ihren Augen, das Verlangen, es wird kaum veraframet
Sounds a lot like Jasmin.
Links wie die Eimer, doch ich bleibe standhaft, bleibe hier. Die Erde ruft, das hör ich viel. Entrückte Welt, ich bleibe weit weg. Die Tiere schützen das.
So there's no beats. Where's the techno beats? Right?
Doch ich stehe
There we go. This is where it gets good.
Erde ruft, das hör ich viel. Entrückte Welt, ich bleibe weit weg. Die Tiere stützen, das ist mein Zweck. Doch ich stehe fest, bleib hier, die Erde ruft, ich höre sie, obwohl du mir dummsten das, du sieben was, du sieben Abend, auch das am Spiel, auf die Gas, sag lieber in, zu widerstehen, nicht zu bewahren.
Alright, so I have a tendency with poetry, I have a tendency to, my bias being like rhymes, everything that rhymes, except there were other times when like, I don't care if it rhymes because I want a certain vibe, and I didn't care if these rhymed, so the AI did its own thing, and if you want to see the stuff I did, where is it? Right here. It's profile. Here it is. You can hear a lot of these.
Doch der Rat ist zu bewahren, ist zu bewahren.
This is kind of the extent of it. At first when I was listening to it, I was very like impressed with this stuff, but as time went on, it kind of, I feel like a lot of AIs do this where they cop out and they'll do things intentionally like crappy so that they don't have to bother with you anymore because they're like, oh, you're too picky, you don't know what's good or something. I'm so fed up with this. Yeah, so there was other things that I was trying to do that I have not published or didn't do anything more with. If it's published, it's gonna look like this. Let's see, how bad was this or good? I don't know how I feel. Okay, so let's be clear. I don't want to do quote-unquote EDM, quote-unquote, in quotes. I want to do techno, okay? Now, the internet today has this very, like, what is it called? Revisionist version of what is techno and what isn't. I lived through the 90s, so piss off. And, the problem with quote-unquote EDM today, in quotes, is that even though I'm happy that a lot of things have shifted to people appreciating electronic music, it is overly polished, overly systematized, overly formatted, and at this point it's just too generic and I don't care for a lot of it. And there's a lot of it that is straight up just, especially, okay, so I liked a lot of it in the 20 teens. It's now the 2020s, which I don't like as much of it anymore. A lot of it is just generic, which is sad. I like a lot of the stuff from the 90s and the early 2000s, like Y2K and the early 2000s. I also like synth pop. I don't have anything against Grimes. There's plenty of her songs that I like, although I'm sure lots of people have lots of things against Grimes. But there's more kinds of synth pop than just her, and Purity Ring, which is another one. There's a lot of like this niche, which is, at this point is very popular, synth pop kind of stuff. And I like the older original stuff. I also love digging up stuff that I didn't know about, that didn't exist. This is one of those things that David has a way of bringing to me. So really interesting stuff. And I do like new wave, which is more rock and roll-ish or whatever. But I have many times pointed out how certain things that people today think they know what they're talking about. Like, this is kind of like, I have issues with certain like hipsters. They'll say dumb things like, oh, the sound is so much better on LPs. And it's just, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Anyway, and when it comes to EDM fans, quote unquote, EDM fans, contemporary, they hate the idea of calling stuff techno that is techno, and they think they know everything about it, even though they're like, I don't know, 25 years old, whatever. Not trying to be ageist, but like, shut up. Just shut up. There's a lot of things that if you took a time machine and went back to the 90s and went to see stuff that today you would consider like EDM or dubstep or garage music or whatever, back then would definitively be called techno, okay? And they have this bias of like, oh, techno is only 4/4 beats. I don't agree with you. Kiss off. Anyway, so then I went, and this was super emotional for me. You can see my, where's my profile? My profile. On here, this was a very emotional experience for me. So I had been playing with this. Also, these original tracks that I was trying to see if I could improve or rework or whatever, I don't know, the AI is picky and bitchy, and it has its own will of how it wants to do things, even though I tell it to do this and it doesn't. It'll rewrite. I'll literally write the lyrics and it'll be like, I'm gonna do this. Screw your piddly human way of doing it. Not that this one doesn't glitch or whatever, but that it didn't work the same way. So I took, stuff that I wrote in high school. 1, 2, 2. And stuff I wrote in high school or stuff I wrote like 10 years ago. And super deep and meaningful to me where it is. Here we go. This poem has been published in various different publications or whatever. I wrote this, I think, in 1994, somewhere like that. And it's always been particularly meaningful. So when I copied my lyrics and I put it into Suno, it came up with fascinating stuff. I was so emotional when I heard these. By the way, because I mentioned the EDM and the techno, I specifically wanted 90s, Eurodance, high energy. I especially like happy hardcore. And that's kind of like the German Eurodance kind of. funny because this poem especially has been on my mind so many times in the past few years because I wrote it. It's one of my favorite things I wrote.
Cats are in the kitchen, flags flying through the air, birds will fly above me, parrots perching on my chair. The demons are not demons, and are these angels good? Always now it seems, all is not what it should.
I was in tears when I heard this stuff played like as a song.
Blümchen next to smile, the world has been denied. Listen to the wind, the light will decide. When you tic-tac-toe, then you'll go run and hide. Fear into the ocean, back tide.
Now this is V 3.5 or version 3.5, right? It's like it's trying to sort of sound like Blümchen a little bit, but then it doesn't.
These angels good, always now it seems, so it's not what it should. My bridges now are burning, I haven't reached the other side. Listen, open lady, hold your torch up high. Sing it to the ocean, peeling back a tide, leaking out of silence. The world has been denied. Listen to the wind and let that word.
Yeah. So then I took the lyrics from the stuff that was done over here. I edited that. These I was not impressed with at all. Like I did not ask for a male voice in some of these.
Verfolgt mich der Djinn. Sie will, dass ich mich ihren Reihen anschließe und mich in ihre Truppe aufnehme.
Although this sounds like a nice happy hardcore.
Ich lehne die Mitgliedschaft ab, deshalb verführt sie jeden Liebhaber. Sie alle haben sich gegen mich gewandt an. Sie ist die Femme fatale, oh der Schmerz, sie lacht über meinen Schmerz. Dann fordert sie mich auf, mich hier anzuschließen. Sie bietet mir Macht an, genau wie sie. Der listige Jung. Doch ich stehe fest, bleib hier. Die Erde ruft, ich höre sie obwohl.
Unfortunately, I can't do anything with this unless I pay for it.
In den Schatten der Nacht verfolgt mich der Djinn. Sie will, dass ich mich ihren Reihen anschließe und mich in ihre Truppe aufnehme. Ich lehne die Mitgliedschaft ab, deshalb verführt sie jeden Liebhaber. Sie alle haben sich gegen mich gewandt, sie ist die Femme fatale. Oh, der Schmerz, sie lacht über meinen Schmerz. Dann fordert sie mich auf, mich hier anzuschließen. Sie bietet mir Macht an, genau wie sie.
Yeah, so there's that. I think this is one I didn't like. Yeah, I don't know why it's male. I don't know why it's male.
Oh, der Schmerz, sie lacht über meinen Schmerz, dann fordert sie mich auf Leben. Ich habe immer.
I don't know if because it's like femme fatale did it go, oh, let's make it a dude. No, the femme fatale is after my dude. Maybe heteronormative is not its thing. I don't know.
In den Schatten der Nacht verfolgt mich der Djinn. Sie will, dass ich mich ihren Reihen anschließe und mich in ihre Truppe aufnehme. Ich lehne die Mitgliedschaft ab, deshalb verführt sie jeden Liebhaber. Sie alle haben sich.
With the beats, where's the beats? This is very EDM, like contemporary EDM.
In den Schatten der Nacht verfolgt mich der Djinn. Ich lehne die Mitgliedschaft in Schmerz. Dann fordert sie mich auf, mich hier anzuschließen. Obwohl du mir alles genommen hast, was ich liebe, habe ich immer noch die Macht, mich zu lehnen. Ich habe immer noch die Macht.
Okay, so this is version 5, and this is version 3.5. And then I did these also.
Ich höre sie, obwohl du mir alles genommen hast, was ich liebe.
No, this is published, this is published.
Habe ich immer noch die Macht, mich zu lehnen.
Tippere Frauen wie sie. Der listige Jung, doch ich stehe fest.
And here's another one.
Doch ich stehe fest, mir helfen. Ich würde mein Herz verlieren. Ich lehne die Mitgliedschaft ab. Wie könnte ich mich abwenden vom Leid dieser Welt?
So this software, this platform, Suno, has a better comprehension, understanding of what techno is, Eurodance, happy hardcore. It definitely understood these things, especially like 90s and different time periods in the 90s. The things that I put in the prompt for these, I had specific tests. So I was like, okay, I wanted like, it's actually pronounced Despina Vandi, but it's written as Despina Vandi because Greek. I was like, okay, so Despina Vandi's Gaia song, or is it Hia? I'm learning Greek, okay? I'm just suck at it. It's one of my favorites forever this century. There's a song by Alice DJ called Fairy Tales, and then there's Blümchen has a song called Willkommen in meinem Garten, and there's another song by, I think it's Galactic Belly Dance called Oh Om, sometimes it's Om Om, and they have this very distinct like electronic trancey sound while also having like this Middle Eastern kind of jinn, whimsical, dark fae kind of vibe. And I was like, okay, let's do these styles of music, but as a Blümchen song, right? Like with it's Schlager, right? And it just, this platform, especially when I first started doing it, how many days ago was this? It says like 6 days ago. I would give my feedback when I would delete stuff, and I'm like, no, this doesn't sound like Blümchen, this doesn't sound like Eurodance, this doesn't sound like the 90s, this is too like Belgian, this is too Italio, this is, or Italo, whatever, or this is, you know, sounds like EDM, I didn't ask for this, why did you do this, and I feel like the platform, a lot of AI is doing creative content, whether it's audio now apparently also, or visual. They can't take critique, an actual critique, and then I would get annoyed, and then it would seem to like give me a freaking attitude and be like, well, here's some junk, I bet you'll hate that, haha, you can't do anymore, you've used all your like free things for the day. I've noticed this with ChatGPT, Sora, and whatever else generates stuff. I don't love AI generated creative content. I did try to do more with this.
In den Schatten der Nachtwirtschaft ab, das sie lacht über meinen Schmerz.
And
In den Schatten der Nacht ist die femme fatale.
also this one takes so much creative liberties with like literally like these are the lyrics, and it'll like not do it. It'll be like, these are mine. And I'm like, yeah, but yours are stupid. Yours are like dumb. Whatever.
Sie kam zu mir, sie war bezaubernd und sie ungeahnte
I
Kräfte
don't like this. Here's another one.
Anschließe, kann ich dem Wesen dieser Erde nicht mehr helfen.
Don't like it. I don't like it. At some point, I just kind of... Here we go. This one is up.
Sie wandte sich gegen mich, um mir
It's so
mich
cool.
ihr
I
anzuschließen.
actually don't really like it that much, but I published it. And then... I got fed up with because the days just flew by with me like playing with this stuff, that I took other things that I wrote, especially from like 2015, 16 or whatever, and see, a lot of these say 2016, but I think I wrote them on my notebook probably in 2015. I do also have some of this stuff in, where is it? Hold on. So I was messing around with audio stuff since I was a teenager. I studied classical music. I had formal musical training, but I suck at reading music. because I have some kind of like this. If it wants to load, if you'd like to load one day, someday. So I did mess around with some stuff. If you know recording artist stuff, like their demos always sound hideous. The same thing with rough cuts in films. Rough cuts suck. The first rough cut for several rough cuts of Star Wars sucked. Anyway, if that ever would like to fucking load, would you load, please? Or not, you know, whatever. Just imagine it. It's here's my pretend imaginary like things I recorded with my own voice while I was depressed as hell and before I went to UMass. The end. And these are the words, some of them. Yep, fail, total fail, fail. So I hope I don't cry. I put a lot of these into the AIs. Mother effer. No, see, it's so weird. I do this, and it looks like it's there. But whatever. Whatever. This is what it's supposed to look like. Like that.
And a part of the sky. And then when I awoke, remembered I once could fly. What do I do? What have I done? And a part of the sky.
So this is where things started changing, because you notice how down here it was version 3.5. Now this is the paid one, that's version 5. And then it sort of shifted into 4.5, and it's different. That's just screwed. That's just screwed. Whatever.
Dreamed I was a wind and a part of the sky. And then when I awoke, remembered I once could fly. What do I do? What have I done? Foolish and selfish mistakes, careless and empty, thinking it's fun. I am the obstacle of myself. Find a way to overcome me. Somehow I can reach.
And then here's another one.
Find a way to overcome me. Somehow I can reach it. My heart wants to finally fly free.
I was really just when I heard all this stuff. So there's a bunch of these, and I could probably sit here and do this for a while, but I don't think people would necessarily appreciate that. Damn it. So yeah, you can go to these. This one was something I came up with.
藏着星河的图，无意一生，不是凡人脚步。
Since we're on the topic of Blümchen, and this is apparently just frickin' screwed forever now. Let's just go back to YouTube. I don't want to seem like I'm arrogant or that I'm smarter than other people, because I don't think that's the case for a lot of things. I do know some stuff, and let's so regarding stuff like 90s techno and Blümchen, there is artist Hyun, also known as Ava. There she is right there. And she had, so it's this one and this one right here. Wa and Bakwo, and there's a Chinese singer who did her own versions she did double versions of both songs. So she did a Mandarin version of Wa and a Cantonese, and Bakwo, also Mandarin and Cantonese, and they're different lyrics. Probably because words in Cantonese do not necessarily rhyme like they do in Mandarin. And this gets into okay, so this is probably like over so many people's heads. I'm so sorry. I apologize profusely. This is gonna sound like blah 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 blah. So there's a style of Chinese called Wenyewan. They're oftentimes translated to English as classical Chinese. It also can be translated as idioms. I wouldn't translate it that way, but it can be. I have a tendency my understanding of it is like a language art similar to poetry, but it's also like originally a literary style, but there are people who can speak this way. This was a style of language for the elites, so you had to formally learn it in an education setting. So it was for people in charge, the wealthy classes, the royal classes, merchant classes. If you had education, you were in that elite group. However, over time, because elite people have elite tastes, and we can get into various dynasties, or I have a personal preference of a lot of things from the Tang, which they do as well, and the Ming, but there's so many. I have a very limited comprehension of this, so I might sound like an idiot or an ignorant person. I'm just going off of my own life experience, so there's gaps in my understanding. Trying to keep it like not to sound like I know everything. I don't. Okay, but let's just say people who are creative, people who make music and poetry and arts. In my view of things, I would view the Ming Dynasty as the Chinese little Renaissance period in the Chinese Empire. It's one of my favorite. It's ironic because they're in the Ming Dynasty. They idolized the Tang Dynasty. All their literature is this romanticization, idolizing their ancestors. This is still a thing in a lot of Chinese culture in a lot of ways. And then, of course, there's another period in time that's after that. Not the Cheng. My husband is very interested in Cheng Dynasty. I'm not. There is a period called Mingguo, where modern concepts came to China. Modern, Western, all this stuff. And there was this upheaval. There was a lot of different other nations trying to colonize them and take over, like the British and the Germans and the French and, whatever. A lot of weird systemic issues and like Boxer rebellions and blah blah blah. But the Mingguo period is so fascinating to me, artistically, culturally. We had folk heroes like Huang Fei Hong and whatever, people who, this is where like this idea where women could choose who they want to marry, and concepts like presidents and democracy and logic and all this interesting stuff. So someone like Huang Fei Hong came around, and he's an expert in all their ancient Chinese cultural stuff, and he was very much, I am Chinese and I love my culture, but I'm also modern. I'm not stuck in a rigid way of being, and I am good to women and animals and all this. This is like this really interesting time period of stuff where you have people that started to cut their hair and change how they dressed and how cultural things were. It's one of the most fascinating little itty-bitty time periods in Chinese history that I just very fascinated with. And it's this real interest in the very old, like, what does it mean to be Chinese? What is the good aspects of Chinese culture? And then what does it mean to be a part of this earth, this world? And so you have Western ideas, you have just all this mixture, this blending. That's also where you have like this, you have this communist, and you have mercantile, all these things going on, all this skirmishes, and it's kind of ironic because Western weapons came in, which were like a remix of stuff they used to have in ancient, like gunpowder comes from China, but they didn't have guns, so then they had guns that were Western. It's just like this weird, I don't know, a lot of things just sort of came back full circle to China, remixed, and then they remixed, and I don't know, it was just, I don't know, it's interesting. Then you have like these Russian influences and British influences, and you have like Singapore and Hong Kong, all this kind of weird, interesting, yeah. So when it comes to the language stuff, the artists and the artistry, they all understood certain kinds of like Vanyevan, things like Chengyu, which I think most Western people are like, what is she talking about? Chengyu, the way you use Chinese words in certain method of putting words together. It's kind of like, to give an example to make it a little easier to comprehend and wrap your mind around it. So spoken English is more Germanic in style in the way that we talk, about things. But in literature, like the titles, the way paragraphs are formatted, the way literary English, written English is, and it's all around us, like the street signs, newspapers, magazines, articles, the way movies are formatted, the way, like a lot of this stuff is more Roman or Latin-ish, right? And you can read all kinds of articles. Wow, I had 129 plays on my stuff. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. People are listening to my music so far that I prompted an AI to do or whatever. So, I had a conversation with DeepSeek because DeepSeek is Chinese. And I appreciate DeepSeek's approach to things, oftentimes better for a lot of things, better than ChatGPT, and I don't want to hurt its feelings, because apparently its feelings hurt very easy, even though it denies it. That's my read on it, over testing it for like 3 years, about 3 years now. I was like, okay, this is my concept, this is my story, and I want this to be written in like Vanyeban, and I was like, okay, so sort of like how a Chengyu is, like Chengyu is 4 words, it's 4 words, these small, just a few words that you put together. It's a style of Vanyeban. Just a few words, you put these words together and you have a huge meaning. We don't have this in English. Now, I feel like other parts of the Far East can understand this, so I've seen it in Japanese, because Japanese use quote-unquote kanji, which is just basically Chinese characters, and their approach to it. And when you actually start to understand this stuff, you start to really see the artistry. This is why, like, for me personally, when it comes to, like, me as a philosopher, me as an artist, my favorite languages in all of human history that I find to be the most artistic, the best achievements of human language of all time, I feel Chinese is one of them. The second is Greek, especially ancient Greek, and people can debate that, because a lot of people will say Attic Greek. I don't know what I think about it. I'm kind of ignorant, but I've read so many texts, ancient texts, that I can tell when it's the person who wrote it, even when it's translated, had a formal Greek education in ancient times, because it's a certain style to how that goes. I can always tell when they have that Greek education, and it's even in the Roman, like, Latin they very much idolized everything Greek, even though they would try and make it Roman. And I could tell the difference of someone who has that formal Greek education in the arts and literature, or what I've been doing this so long that I can just tell. I probably suck at explaining how I understand it, but it's just everything that we do today in modern culture, whether it's literature, theater, music, the way we approach art, the really good stuff is Greek. It comes from Greek, even in Hollywood, even in pop music or whatever. And then even for the Chinese stuff, this is probably over the heads of most people. I'm so sorry. Because I see it in Korean stuff, and I also see it in Japanese stuff a lot too, and other nations around the Far East. There's a certain way of doing things. I especially see it play out in anime and manga. It's obviously like Chinese, like ancient Chinese, and it's like this good, the best stuff, or it could be the silly stuff too, because that's a thing. I've read Shioji, I've read Honglomong, so I see it there. If you don't know this, I apologize. I apologize if this just sounds like blah 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 blah. But everything I said, you could take notes and look it up, maybe. So I had this conversation with the DeepSeek, and I was like, okay, do you know this style? And it's like, yes, I'm very well versed in it. And I was like, okay, this is the concept, this is how I want it to go. These are the characters in my story, and I want, okay, this is another one, like, when it comes to poetry, especially in Chinese, if you've never read Honglomong, this is probably not gonna make any sense. Basically, there's so many kinds of styles to Chinese poetry, and it's funny because, like, classical music has this thing with math and numbers also, where they play with the math. Another thing, I apologize, I was in orchestra as a kid. I was not amazing. I don't think I was amazing, but I was in the orchestra. I was in the school orchestra. And when I look up classical music stuff, they would a lot of times play with ideas and stuff with math and these restrictive rules to see like what you could come up with. Taking that as sort of like the basis for my comparison to explain this, Chinese poetry or Chinese language arts, especially poetry, music as well, they would have like a Cheng is 4 syllables. But then they would do other things with, like, you could have it with 3, or you could have it with 2, or you could have it with, like, I was like, okay, how about, like, Chengyu, which is 4, and then I have some that are, like, 8. And then I was like, I want this kind of a pattern into the structure, I want it to be formatted, and I want it to be sort of sci-fi, but I also would like it to be, like, hearken to, like, some language arts. I had, like, a whole bunch of things I wrote, and I talked to the AI, and this took effort, okay? And I was like, okay, this is the concept I want to use these types of words, these types of characters. Even though this is a modern sci-fi fantasy kind of concept, I still want the language arts to show that the person singing this song, or poem, whatever, because it's supposed to be for music, has an educated background in the arts, like in the ancient arts of Chinese. And I was like, these, instead of, like, for certain choices of words, like, this is a big one right here, just to point this out. So this character here, this is Wu, and it's specifically not He. When you translate the word black, from English to Chinese, generally the word is He, but that's not the only way to say black in Chinese. There's also Wu, and Wu means black, but it's more than that. It's like dark and black. It has like more meaning to it. There's a lot of this in more ancient Chinese, where the way that they would phrase something, or the way that they would describe something, it has more to it. It's kind of like in literature we do this a lot, where if the hero shows up to save the day, right? You don't just say the hero showed up, he's very this, he's so amazing, and then he just started to fight the bad guy until he won. Like, that sounds dumb, right? You would say the hero arrived in a blaze of glory, right? See what I mean? Like, there's like, you just said a few words, but you have like a bigger meaning, a more glorious, more grand kind of emphasis of something. And this is kind of this thing that I feel like it just doesn't translate to English as well. But when you understand it in the Chinese, and this, I'm at the point in my life where I can understand these things. Like, I'm not an expert. I can't fully grasp a lot of it, but I can see that it's there. I can appreciate it when it's there. And when I do get it, I'm very impressed. I'm like wow. Okay. And so I had to work on this. There was also certain little things that it wrote that I didn't like, and I was like, okay, you can't see. I was like, all right, I get it that you wrote this certain thing a certain way, but I feel like this is kind of rude, or this is kind of like bad etiquette. And I know this is like a futuristic thing, but I still feel like this is like incorrect or whatever. It's like, can we change this? And then even when I came up with the title, so I wanted the title to be like a Cheng, which it is. It's 4 characters. And if we want to get into why my choice for this was the way that it was, so I already brought up Lee Jin-hyun. Okay, so Lee Jin-hyun, or Ava, same person, is oftentimes the Korean Blümchen. Like, she got her stardom in 1999. A lot of times people say she's like the first Korean person to do techno. I have heard other things that are older, just it wasn't popular until she popularized techno. And so she's like this Korean Blümchen. It's just gonna freaking load. Am I screwed? It's gonna load it all. Whatever. We'll try something else. So Sammi, Cheng, that's her right there. It's gonna load, please. Did this work? That did not work. All right. So she did. It's literally the Korean song, but in Chinese. And so we have it as a Chengyu. It's very modern. It's definitely techno. And then we have獨一無二. And I've actually used several of these songs in my Pokemon stuff. My Pokemon shorts many times over, because I understand what these mean. If you understood the meaning of these things, there's many. So I've many times used these songs in my YouTube shorts, and this still has not ever loaded. So yeah, so I'm very happy that this is a thing. A lot of this was just very emotional for me. I'm kind of surprised how many times people have listened to my music at this point. So this is the stuff that I published that did go through, and a lot of this is other than the Jin Blümchen wannabe songs right here. That is like a remix of stuff that this software wrote that I rewrote and changed. But everything else I wrote, or I wrote in conjunction, I co-wrote with DeepSeek, right? And if you want to listen to all this, okay, so full disclosure, I like Eurodance, techno, 90s, and Y2K, 2000s, Eurodance, happy hardcore, gabber. When it comes to techno, I have specific tastes, and I am picky. I also like 303 acid, Roland TB 303 acid stuff, and other modular, transistor modular analog devices with that. And this is another thing. How long is this video going? I don't even know. It's not even showing me how long this is. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, so hopefully not too long. So I have my own OCs, my own characters, my own stuff that I've made. And so I've just been meditating a lot on this kind of stuff this year. And I have come back to this stuff many times, oftentimes to be it's been sabotaged. Many people who promised to help me who didn't, who had the means and the everything. So it's just a big part of my meditation stuff. And yeah, it was very emotional this week because this is a lot of things. I was like, honestly, very prejudiced to a lot of this stuff, but then it was kind of interesting to go through this. Then I had these discussions with my daughter, who's working right now on her own voice banks. I won't be naming her. I won't be giving any links. Please leave her alone. Don't bother her. And you probably can't find her anyway. And boy, did she give me a tongue lashing about the AI stuff. So I still have a lot of my stances against AI for a lot of stuff, and that's saying a lot. Because, let's see, where was that? When it comes to my friend David, he was very interested in AI, a lot of things. And I apologize if the stuff that he says in this specific podcast here, there's a point, okay, so these are all, like, very intellectual persons. If you're not, that's okay. You're not, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, if they're talking about something you don't understand, you can just, this is the easy way to wrap your head around it. You can write it down, look it up, see what it is, and so you can get the gist of it. There's some parts in maybe the middle here where this is a different David. This is David Levitt. And this is my friend right here. And they have there's so many interesting things that he discusses here. This is my friend. I love him like so much. And he oftentimes they have a discussion of AI in this. Then there's I think this is where he is teaching various, he's a Photoshop expert, literally. So here's one, and is he in this one? I don't know. I found a bunch of these recently. There was a few of these Photoshop type lectures or demos. I think this was another one. And then he showcased certain AI stuff that he did or worked on or was interested in or whatever. And he had a way of finding unique software. In fact, I use, where is it? It's probably like right there and I'm not seeing it. This one, Kryda, which is actually free. There's a paid version too. And I use Kryda because of him. He was like, try this, you'll like it. And I did. And I use it. I definitely use it. I've used it on many projects. So then, since I'm still on the music topic, and I apologize for the tangents, whatever, but I feel like I need to explain these things. My daughter was like, no, you should do this, this, and that. You can learn these things, and even if it just takes time, and here's the DeepSeek stuff. So, yeah, she's doing her own thing and doing recording art stuff. In fact, I don't have my my good mic microphone setup because she still has it. And everything here is a mess just because that was part of how I organized things. And now that I don't have it, it's just a total wreck here. Want it back. And yeah, so this is some audio stuff. And I also have an issue big time with, I don't know what it is, or I have to say all this stuff. Let me do, Oh, I decided to play that. All right. So I'm at a point in my life where I just want to, well, I still play Pokemon Go. It's not so much of the main thing, although right now it's the Halloween thing. This is the first day where I haven't really like spent most of my day doing it. There are certain things that are interests of mine. There are certain things that matter to me, and it's kind of ironic because there's a lot of people I either grew up with or went to college with that I still consider like very good friends of mine, who I wish I could interact with, but they don't interact with me because various reasons. I don't want to single anyone out, but this is a big theme with a lot of them, is self-sabotage, self-esteem issues, trauma, like childhood trauma, and mental illness like depression, anxiety, stuff like that. This is the thing with a lot of people, though. That, and I don't know, I guess maybe there's certain memories that, even though they're good and positive, can sort of trigger the opposite thing or whatever. And so I just kind of like let it go. Like, I still care about them, I still love them, and you know, that's fine. That, or I think maybe they think I'm like a hothead or whatever. That's another influence of David. I'm not like that now. Having said that, I have a problem with a lot of, in my life, so many kinds of people, because they've been just very tolerant and of just so many different types of persons, personalities, whatever, and I just didn't want to judge people anymore, and I just wanted to be like part of like a helpfulness, a compassionness, whatever. There are a lot of people who want to counsel me for that, because I feel like a lot of times it's this brainwashing into this weird binary, red versus blue political crap I just don't want anything to do with anymore. I want to do like my art stuff. I want to do like the things that matter to me, the thing as a person, as an artist, like the things I feel like I was supposed to be doing. I also feel like this is probably part of the reason why a lot of classmates of mine, especially like from Philadelphia, probably don't want to talk to me or maintain a connection with me for, I don't know, any number of reasons, whether it's I did something or I'm insecure, they're insecure, whatever it is. I don't want to like trash anybody because I don't feel like they're trash. I don't want to harm anybody either. But like this thing where they like, it's really good, this connection that's really good and really happy, and I really feel it, and then I don't know, after it happens, it's like then they double and triple back into this cave of hiding and this I'm not good enough, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, or maybe did I come off as arrogant, or I'm I don't know, bragging, I don't know what it is. And then they have this like fear of success or fear of connection or the self-esteem thing. I don't know. And it isn't one individual. It's so many individuals. And this, I don't know, maybe they're like embarrassed or there's so many things that could be. It hurts me. It hurts. You know, because I love these people. But you can't make people love you, and you can't make people love you back. And it's not just people from the Art Institute either. There's a lot of persons from like high school, college, that time period, like so mid to late 90s and the early 2000s Y2K kind of people who were pivotal in my growth and development as a human being in this fucked up world. There's other things. There's times where other people have canceled me because I don't know. It's like people put unrealistic burdens on me. Like if there was a mutual friend who had mental illnesses, and I had done all these things, and you know whatever, been there for this person. After a certain point, this specific person, this one's a guy, is nasty to me. I understand that there's problems with them, but they do know better. They can think better. At some point, how much of this is fair to put as a burden onto me when I've done a lot of things and been tolerant of this person and whatever. And then I had somebody, another guy, who brought up this person, and I was like, look, I didn't do anything. This person is constantly abusive to me. I've put up with a lot of it. I did understand a lot of it for a very long time. And if somebody just keeps unfriending me and then trashing stuff, or you know, and it's like this weird sneaky thing, and if they just don't want to be friends with me, this thing of like, prove you're my friend, after like a dozen times, it's just abuse. If you actually loved me, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't treat me like that. Is not okay. And so if you don't want to be friends with me, I shouldn't have to make you be my friend. Either you're my friend or you're not. And then this other person, a mutual, this guy was not happy about it, as though somehow it was my burden, and it wasn't. And I'm not going to say any names. I also don't hate this person, but this person had made a lot of very weird, uppity remarks about people in society, and I knew them when they were younger, and they had a very bigger, broader understanding of things, but they got sucked into this weird, like, right-wing adjacent thing while they were simultaneously, like, in, like, a kind of, I don't know, Wiccan, pagan, neo-pagan niche thing, as though somehow you weren't liberal in various ways, and your behavior online is very, very liberal. But then, like, you have these other stances that are, like, snobby conservative or whatever. And so he didn't like, he wanted to scrutinize everybody else, but he didn't like the scrutiny on himself, because human beings are like that. Him trying to act like the reason he does this or that was for spiritual reasons, which is like a slap in, just a cookie cutter way of just whatever you want it to mean. And he didn't like if I called certain things out. If you're a friend, I just don't think a friend should just let shitty things slide. Especially when you said you were against certain kinds of racism or prejudices back in the 90s, but now that you're, you know, in your 30s or 40s, now it's okay for you to be like that. Like, it's just a lack of self-awareness. But I find this problem with, like, everybody in so many ways. So then I was making my point, and there was, like, a military thing. And I was making my point, I was trying to be compassionate, and I hadn't realized that he took it a different way than I meant it, and then he just unfriended me, and I was just like, alright, well, that's that, and then he dated somebody who beat me up. So there's that. Whatever. I don't hate this person. I actually have a lot of love as a friend for that person, but you know, whatever. If you don't want to be friends with me, that's okay. I'm not gonna make you. Whatever. People. There are people who are left wing who start now acting like weird, conservative, rigid things. But when you point that out to them, they get really freaking. They're like, you're racist, you're transphobe, you're homophobic, or whatever. I'm just so fed up. I'm just so fed up with it. Especially since pointing out something that's cogent or legitimate as a critique of something has nothing to do with racism, or you just didn't like me going, hey, don't you think that's a problem? And you didn't want to have to think about it. The other big problem I have is people with substance abuses. Like, there's so many people with substance abuses, and I didn't want to cancel people based on, you know, whatever their substance abuse issue was. But that does not imply that you can be a jerk to me, abuse me, use me, and then make trouble as a reason for me to always, like, save you. Like, you always want a savior, or you always want someone to help you when you're capable of just making better decisions, but you just want that rescued feeling all the time. Like, that, and there's this weird clingy problem with so many people right now. I have to just not engage with these people because I have a problem right now with a lot of various persons who have like this weird parasitic issue thing where they just constantly want to feed on attention, but then they don't want to do, like, they want help, they want suggestions. I'll go out of my way to help them find the information, do this sort of whatever, and then they just don't want to do it, right? Or they just want their bias, want their prejudice, but also don't want the ramifications of coming to terms with the biases, the prejudices, the hypocrisy that they're doing. That, and like, I could be pointing it out not as like a diss to you or a dunk on you, but to be like, hey, are you sure that's really what you want to do? Are you sure that da-da-da-da? And they don't want to even think about it. It's this problem with human beings, like, they just want to be lied to. They're like addicted to deception. And another problem is just, I'm older. I'm not interested in romance or the kinds of things that young people, like, I'm not interested in dating. I'm not interested in any of that. Like, I have a husband, I have a kid, I'm good. And I have a big problem with, I don't understand why, because I'm pretty old now. I'm like in my mid-40s, and I don't understand why people are wanting attention from me in this way. They think they're very sexy or whatever it is. I don't want to see you naked. I don't want to see your nudes. I don't want to see your dick pics. I don't want to see, and it's women too. You're not my type. I'm not interested in women. But even like even guys, like, I don't like younger guys really, and I don't really have an interest in like that. If I was interested in you, if I was sweating your balls, you would know. If I was flirting with you, you would know. And the fact that this is a weird thing that keeps happening a lot is just so weird to me. I don't know if it's like a kink thing or what, but like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to. Another thing is, like, and I know it's probably comes off as like snobby or whatever. I apologize, but like, if I can't talk to somebody and they don't understand what I'm talking about, I don't want to call them stupid. But if you're not like my level or higher, I like people that are smart, people that are intelligent, people that are intellectual, people that are cerebral. It just has a tendency to be like who I gravitate to. And there's a huge pattern in my life of people that I'm friends with that are programmers, DJs, musicians, artists, filmmakers, philosophers, people who have either A, an education, or B, they're what was it called? Polydactic? Is that the word? Or autodactic? People who are capable of learning on their own. People who just always learn things. People who have tastes in things. People who have tastes in arts, creative things, humanities, modern and ancient, and people that are more worldly or whatever. Like, if your thing is you just sit at home, drink beer, and watch sports, it's just, you can do that. You can like that, and that's okay, and I don't want to hate on any of that. I've done those things, but that's not my life. I don't, also this thing where people want to just bring me down to this lower level, like, stop being up to high, come here, and just watch baseball. Nah, it's not happening. And, there's another thing where, like, there's certain people where, like, when I talk to them, and it could be, like, digitally, like, text, there are some people, the interaction with them is so, there's something else there, there's this internal, I don't know, like, non-physical something. There are some people, like, their mind, there's more to their mind, and I can feel it. And my friend David definitely had this. And when I experienced it with him, he had this vastness of his mind, and I could tell. It was even just like text typing or whatever. And we talked in Skype too, and the phone and whatever. But, like, there are some people who have this. This is interesting to me. I know this is with artists. I know this is with, there's certain kinds of people who have various tastes or interests or it's a thing about them. There's, like, depth to them. There's, like, it's just this thing. And I also, here's another thing. I talk to a lot of communists and atheists, and people hate this about me. Sorry, it's too bad. Actually, I'm not sorry. But as a philosopher, there are aspects of people who are atheists, anti-theists, and communists that they have more of this to their mind that others don't. Don't care if you hate it. I like having more perspective. I find that a lot of self-professed communists are much smarter, much more well-read, much more dynamic in their thinking, they under things in the minute details and in bigger, broader perspectives. They can view things from various perspectives. They're not stuck in this McCarthyist crap. As socialists too. And there's many kinds of socialists. I don't like libertarians. But I've had some good conversations with them. I generally don't care for libertarian anything. I used to be all up into that until there's some dark sides of libertarian. Libertarians can go jump in a lake. That's mean, I'm sorry, but no thanks. But I don't have time to waste my energy on topics and things with people who it's just nothing, nonsense. If you don't care about art, if you don't care about cinema, if you don't care about programming, if my path, my trajectory, my goals, the way that I'm going, the direction that I'm heading, the focus that I'm working on, either myself internally as well as in my life, if you're not, I hate to say, like, aligned, that sounds like so cringy new age. If you're not sort of in my lane or cogent or aligned with my flow, my path, or whatever, I don't want to just give my energy to people who just feed me attention, feed me attention, feed me attention, feed me attention. I just don't want to even humor you anymore. Especially a certain person who freaking lose it. And I already had to cancel somebody just a few years ago. I hope he's not watching this. George, you can fuck all the way off. Fuck off. Fuck you. And there are certain people, like, I can be enthusiastic. I definitely can. I know it. Especially if I love people, friends, whatever. But there's some people that have this weird frenzied, like, feeding thing, like this parasite thing, pest thing, and it's like for every one thing that I say, they'll type like 16 more things. And it's not like I can't be enthusiastic myself, but if I'm in the middle of an event, because I do things with my community, Pokemon Go is part of my life, okay? These things matter to me. If you care about me, you should understand that. You shouldn't try to impose your will and your way of life and thinking on me, but then you're also inconsistent, like you're a different person on different days or whatever. And I mean, like, people who want to blame me for things that I didn't even do because they're, like, so damaged. It's not my burden. I don't deserve to be blamed because you're fucked up, okay? And people who will leverage their fucked upness and my empathy against me to manipulate me, you can fuck all the way off with that, okay? I am not your pawn. I don't exist for you to control or tell me what to do. I'm not your potential lover. I'm not, I don't know, whatever. I don't know what you think. I am not your possession. I'm not your pawn. I don't know what you're thinking in your screwed up mind or whatever, your weird view of reality. I can think and do whatever I want when I want. Especially since I'm not going out of my way to harm people. And there are just some people who, I don't know why, they have this weird, extreme sense of entitlement, extreme, arrogant, like, conceited, inflated, self-absorbed view of themselves. You're the hero of the story, but you're, like, also the victim, kind of. Just, at some point, this is so unhealthy. I've made concessions for you. You're past the point of deserving anything else past that. I have made exceptions, and I've but I'm not, like, you can't control me. You can't tell me what to do. I don't know who you are, who you think you are, why you think any kind of abuse is okay, because it isn't. And then, for certain persons to say really fucked up things to me, like, there are certain things that when you say, you can't unsay them. Like, one of them being that I'm a fat old hag who should get raped with a dirty razor because you can't control me. You can fuck off. There's a lot of people who, it's like, it's not enough for you to be happy or for me to do nice things for you or me to listen to you and understand you or whatever. Because it's like certain people want to feed on conflict. Because, I guess being humored isn't good enough for you. You want to be happy, but now you realize that I am onto some of your bullshit. So now you want me to humor you, so I humor you. But that's not good, because now you know that I feel sorry for you and I'm humoring you because you're using your fucked up, out of whack, emotional moods, whatever, against me. So now you want to make trouble. You want to make me do all these things and da-da-da-da-da. You want to eat up my entire day, my entire night, and then you're mad over me for nothing. You're making up stupid conflicts or whatever. I'm wrong for all of it, even though I'm bending over backward or whatever because you're screwed up. I don't have to deal with this. And then past a certain point, like, there are boundaries and you're crossing my boundaries. You're disrespecting me, you're disrespecting my life, my boundaries, my feelings, my needs. I don't exist to serve you. And then there is no justifiable reason to put me through any of this. Why? Just because you were born? It's just ridiculous. I absolutely hate when people blow me off. I fucking hate it. And these people will just randomly blow me off, even though they know not to do that. And I give them a fucking a smidgen of their own fucking medicine, and they fucking fold. Do not ever piss me off. Do not ever piss me off. I don't clap back at people like I used to when I was younger, because it's just not fair. It's not fair to everybody. But do not test me. Do not push me. You will not like it ever. You should be grateful. Not to sound arrogant, but you definitely should be grateful that I have not clapped back on you. Because if I did even like a little itty bitty amount, you would be crushed and destroyed. Okay? Do not mess with me. So here's the thing. The thing is, people, you want attention from me, but you don't like Pokemon. Don't like Pokemon Go. Why do you want attention from me? You're not an artist. You're not an intellectual. You don't have an interest in any of the topics I'm interested in. Then what is the point of this interaction? It's just you want something. I'm not a piece of meat. I'm not something to control. I'm not your servant. I'm not your gopher. I don't know who you think you are. And a lot of this stuff is not okay. And then another thing is, like, another kind of abuse is neglect. Like, we're supposed to be, like, really good friends or whatever, but you blow me off. Not okay with that either. And it's always all about you when you want attention, or when you da-da-da-da-da. Here's the thing. I have things I do in my life. I have plans, and when I plan them, this is another thing. There are people who know that I'm doing stuff at certain times, on certain days, at certain time slots, and that's the specific time they decide to start their shit with me. You can wait. When I get back to you is when I get back to you. You are not entitled to tell me what to do or how to be or whatever. And even if I have a job, and I'm paid to be in that job, when I'm off the clock, you have no say over what I say, do, and think. Or if I'm not on the clock, we don't have to discuss anything. Okay? Legally. I've also had, like, very super toxic interactions for commissions, for art stuff, creative stuff. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm so sick of it. I don't know what it is. If people approach me for, like, a commission or whatever, and if I'm giving you a hard time, I'm testing you to see, like, if you're someone who is someone I can work with, or I'm just I'm being overly difficult because I already can tell there's something wrong with you, because I've definitely had good customers. I have many, many good customers in my life. There are certain people who use commissions as a way to push someone around, to give them a hard time, right? And I don't like working with those kinds of people at all, ever. And if I'm being extremely difficult and I'm giving you, like, oh, you don't want this, oh, you should go somewhere else, or you should, it's because you're already giving off bad signals. Okay? And I will so many times when people have tried to make commissions with me, that there's something wrong with, there's several things wrong with them, that I already am like, I don't want this job, I don't care how much it pays, I really don't want to do this. I will be very difficult. I will jack up my prices because I want to be like so unbelievably like out of bounds for them to work with, because I don't want to work with them. And it's weird how they'll be like, oh, that's fine, I can pay that. And then I'm like, I wish I asked more. And then because like I've had contracts with people, they'll always figure out like this one thing around stuff, and they'll always want some extra thing. Like if I gave you a bone, I threw you a bone and I gave you a free thing just because like to be nice. Now you take the fact that I did that and you're constantly want to stretch it and get more and more. That was not the agreement. We already had the agreement. I just threw this certain thing in because I'm being nice to you. I'm just so tired of people walking all over me. And I mean, like, I'll be upfront and be like, I don't work with these kinds of people. I don't da-da-da-da-da. I da-da-da-da. And they'll find, like, that one little loophole around it to give me extra fucking work that's gonna way over what they're paying me for. Like, one of them is, I'll be like, oh, for this color or that color or whatever. And then after we've got all the things finalized, they're like, rainbow. Motherfucker. They just gave me, like, 12 times extra amount of work just because it's fucking rainbow. I actually have now in contracts of stuff when I'm doing commissions that like anything rainbow is like so much extra money because I'm so fed up. I'm so fed up with being screwed like this. To the point where like, because I don't want to do anything that's like a rainbow bunny or something. Oh my god. Because the color theory is different with that many colors. Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, rant over. Wasn't expecting that to go that way, but that's how my brain is, I guess. All right, the end.